Ever feel like that whole fountain of youth thing is, well, more marketing than anything else?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But then people write in about this NMN research, and it does feel like maybe something's actually there.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of buzz around NMN. And you're right, this research paper really digs into the science. It can get a little technical.
Yeah, and that's why you're here.
Exactly. We're here to break it all down.
Because I'll admit, I glossed over some of it. So, basics. What is this NMN?
So NMN stands for nicotinamide mononucleotide.
Catchy.
I know, right? It's a mouthful. But what it really is it's like this precursor to like this really important molecule in our bodies, NAD. And NAD is like essential for our cells to make energy.
Okay.
It's like the fuel that powers those tiny little energy factories in our cells, the mitochondria.
So NAD is like the fuel, mitochondria, or the factories. Is NMN the delivery truck?
Perfect analogy, that's
Okay.
it. And here's the thing. As we age, those NAD levels naturally go down. And as they decline, that's when we see a lot of these age-related issues start cropping up.
So it's not just like, I don't know, feeling a little slower.
No, not at all. I mean, it affects everything, like how well our muscles work,
Mm-hmm.
to even the body's ability to repair DNA damage, even cognitive function.
Wow. Okay. Low NAD, not good. So that's where NMN swoops in.
That's the hope. The idea is, if NMN is a precursor to NAD, then if we supplement with NMN, we could boost those NAD levels and maybe, just maybe, fight back against some of that age-related decline.
Okay, I'm following. So we're basically giving our body more of the NAD fuel by giving it what it needs to make more. But how do we even know this would work? It's not like scientists can just like check our NAD levels over time, right?
Right. And it's not quite as simple as that. A lot of this early research on NMN and aging, it's been done on animals, mostly mice.
Ah, the lab mouse.
Yeah.
But how much can we actually take from mouse studies and apply it to humans? We're a little more complicated, right?
Wow, absolutely. And that is one of the big challenges in research, translating those findings from animal studies, from mice to humans. There's a lot to consider, like differences in metabolism, how long we live, just our overall physiology. It's not as simple as just scaling up the dosage. Like mice and humans, we process things so differently.
Right.
What might be great for a mouse might not do anything for us or even have side effects we wouldn't expect.
Right, right. Like using a cookie recipe to try to bake a cake. The proportions are all wrong. But this research paper, it did mention some interesting findings from the mouse studies, right?
Yeah, there were a few studies where they gave these aging mice NMN, and they actually saw some pretty impressive improvements. Like in one study, mice who were given NMN did 25% better on memory tests.
Okay, a 25% memory boost. Now you're talking my language. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. They also found that NMN seemed to improve insulin sensitivity in these aging mice.
Which is a big deal.
Huge. Because, insulin resistance is a major player in a lot of those age-related metabolic issues, like type 2 diabetes.
Right, right, of course. Okay, so potentially good news for our metabolisms down the road. But before we get too excited about the mouse fountain youth, let's talk about human studies. There was one, right?
There was. The paper mentions a small human trial. It was really more about testing the safety of NMN.
Yeah.
They used a group of healthy women, and it only lasted 10 weeks.
Did they discover the fountain of youth?
Not quite. It was mostly about safety, and they didn't find any negative side effects.
Well, that's good.
Definitely a good sign. But it's just a small study, short time frame. So we can't really say anything definitive about long-term effects, or ideal dosages.
So they need to do more research, bigger, longer studies with people before we get too excited.
Exactly. And the paper really stresses that. They need more human-based research to really understand what NMN can do.
Okay, so more research is needed. Classic. But just for fun, let's say future research does show that what we're seeing in these early studies actually pans out. What could that mean for how we think about getting older?
Oh, wow. I mean, if NMN is proven safe and effective in humans, that's huge. It could completely change our healthcare systems, retirement planning, heck, our entire idea of what it means to age.
Like, we need to plan for a world where getting older might not look like it always has.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. If people are healthier for longer, mentally sharper, our workforce, our retirement systems, we might have to rethink everything. Traditional retirement ages, maybe people would keep learning new things, changing careers.
It's a lot to process, and that's just the structural stuff. It makes you wonder how our own views on aging would change if we could live longer, healthier lives.
For sure. I mean, would we embrace all that extra time, or would we just feel pressure to stay young and productive for decades longer than we do now? It's like a whole new set of questions we, as a society, would have to answer.
And what about the ethics of it all? If NMN is the real deal, would everyone have access to it? Or would it just create a bigger gap between those who can afford it and those who can't?
Such a good point. Equity and access, those have to be part of the conversation.
Hmm.
We have to make sure that any advances in anti-aging, whether it's NMN or something totally different, are available to everyone. That we're not making those existing health disparities even worse.
So, okay, someone's listening to this and they're thinking, all right, this NMN sounds interesting. Should I try it? What do you tell them?
Oh man, the million-dollar question, right? It's tough to say, honestly. From the research we have now, I'd say it's way too early to call NMN like the anti-aging solution. We need those long-term human studies. We have to know it's safe, that it actually
We'll
works.
hold off on swapping out the veggies for NMN pills.
For now, yeah. Don't forget all that good stuff. Eating well, moving your body, managing stress, those are still the best ways we know to age well. We've got tons of research to back that up.
Prevention, the best medicine.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean NMN's not worth keeping an eye on. I think the big thing here is be curious, stay informed, let's see what the research says as it comes out.
What if someone's really thinking about trying it now? What would you tell them?
First things first, talk to your doctor. They can look at the whole picture, your health, any medications you're on, see if it even makes sense for you.
Can't stress that enough. New supplement. Talk to your doctor first.
Absolutely. And, do your homework. Look for reliable sources of information. There's a lot of hype around NMN, so if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Be careful about any products claiming to be miracle cures.
It's tempting though, right? Slowing down aging. People want that.
Totally. But aging, it's complicated. There's no quick fix. It's about how you approach your health overall. And part of that is being a smart consumer.
Mm.
Don't just believe everything you hear.
Well said. So, as we wrap up here, I think the big takeaway is NMN, it's promising, but it's not a golden ticket to living forever. Stay informed, don't rush into anything, and keep making those healthy choices. Who knows what the future holds for NMN? Maybe it'll change everything. But for now, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into NMN. And until next time, keep those brains working and keep sending in your questions.